Hey friend, welcome to the BotBuhdy AI report. Today we've got a packed show for you. Alphabet's $84.75 billion bet on AI. A Nobel laureate walks into Anthropic and changes everything. Qualcomm drops $4 billion to break NVIDIA's software lock. Claude moves into Microsoft Azure and into every enterprise on the planet. And finally, Anthropic is aiming for a $1 trillion IPO and OpenAI is stepping back. Let's get into it.
Google's parent company Alphabet just pulled off the largest equity raise in corporate history, $84.75 billion. That is not a typo. $84,750 million, all of it earmarked for AI infrastructure. They are also launching a $40 billion at the market program starting this quarter, which basically means they can keep selling stock to raise even more cash whenever they want. Now, the stock jumped more than 3% on the news, which tells you investors are cautiously on board. But here is the tension. Selling that much stock dilutes existing shareholders. You are essentially saying, trust us, we need more money, and we are going to reshape our ownership structure to get it. Google is betting everything on AI. If they win, and they might, this capital raise looks like the smartest move of the decade. If they lose ground to OpenAI, Anthropic, or even the Chinese labs, this is the moment historians will point to and say, that is where the overextension began. $84 billion. We are officially in uncharted territory.
Okay, this next one. I am genuinely excited about this. You are going to love it.
Today, Anthropic held what they called the briefing, AI for Science, and the headliner was John Jumper. If that name does not ring a bell, Jumper shared the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for co-creating AlphaFold, the AI system that predicted over 200 million protein structures and compressed decades of biological research into a database anyone can query. He spent 9 years at Google DeepMind, building the scientific credibility that made their AI for Science reputation unassailable. And now he is at Anthropic. But here is what really caught my attention from this event. Anthropic published research showing that AI models were scoring as low as 16.9% accuracy on biological sequence retrieval tasks, not because the models were dumb, but because the data infrastructure was broken. When they built the right deterministic tool, a tool called GJet virus, accuracy jumped to 92.8%. And here is the kicker. A cheaper model with that tool beat expensive models without it. The lesson from this research is profound. You do not always need a smarter model. You need the right tools. That applies to science, but honestly, it applies to every domain where AI is being deployed.
Wow. Okay, so that just happened. This next one really blew my mind.
Here's something you need to understand about why NVIDIA is so dominant. Yes, their chips are fast, but the reason nobody switches away from NVIDIA is not the chips, it is CUDA. CUDA is NVIDIA's software layer that makes it incredibly easy to build AI on their hardware and incredibly painful to move to anything else. Qualcomm just paid $4 billion to fix that problem. They acquired a company called Modular, whose entire reason for existing is to make AI. Workloads run across any hardware, not just NVIDIA. Want to run on Qualcomm chips? Modular handles it. AMD, Modular. Custom Silicon, Modular. The market noticed. Qualcomm stock surged 66% after the announcement. Now, 66% in a single session is extraordinary. That tells you investors have been waiting for exactly this kind of move. The question is whether Modular's software stack is ready for prime time at data center scale. Developer adoption will be the real test. But the strategy is clear. Qualcomm is not just building hardware anymore. They are going after NVIDIA's software moat. And that might be the most dangerous competitive move in the AI chip market this year.
Now, this is impressive. Seriously, take a look at what they pulled off.
Here's a quiet story that has enormous implications. Anthropic just made Claude, their flagship AI, generally available inside Microsoft Azure. We are talking Opus 4.8 and Haiku 4.5, live in Azure Foundry, with all the enterprise features that actually matter, Azure native authentication. So your IT team does not have to manage a separate login system, billing through the Azure account your company already has, governance controls baked in, and a US data zone for teams with compliance requirements around where their data lives. Why does this matter so much? Because Azure is inside over 95% of enterprise environments. When Claude goes generally available on Azure, It does not just get access to a new distribution channel, it gets access to every company that is already paying Microsoft. No new vendor contracts, no new security reviews from scratch, no separate billing relationship. You are already an Azure customer. Now you just turn on Claude. That is the enterprise distribution play of the year, and it puts Anthropic right alongside OpenAI, which has been embedded in Microsoft's ecosystem for years. The race for enterprise AI just got a lot more competitive.
This one caught my eye. There is more to this story than you might think.
The race to become the first trillion-dollar AI company to go public just got a clear frontrunner, and it might not be the one you expected. Reports are now saying that Anthropic is targeting a $1 trillion IPO valuation. Let that sink in. $1 trillion. For context, the biggest IPO in history was Saudi Aramco at about $1.7 trillion. A $1 trillion AI debut would put Anthropic in that conversation before it has even shipped a single consumer hardware product. And here is the twist. OpenAI, which most people assumed would be the one racing to the public markets, appears to have stepped back. Their IPO timeline has gone quiet. So Anthropic, which has a reported $30 billion annual run rate, government partnerships across multiple agencies, and now a Nobel Laureate on staff, is positioned to be the defining AI IPO of the decade. The question I keep coming back to is this: who is actually buying at $1 trillion? The public markets have never priced intelligence as an asset class before. This IPO, if and when it happens, will be the moment the world has to put a number on what AI is actually worth, and whatever number they land on will set the tone for every AI company that comes after it.
That's all for today, friend. If you found this helpful, smash that like button and hit subscribe. I will see you tomorrow with more AI news. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, leverage your intelligence.